So guys, as you guessed, today, yes, we are taking a look at Cybertron Metroplex. And to some of you, you may be thinking, well, what is this, some sort of fan mode? But guys, considering the fact that they gave us airlock systems on what will eventually become his ankles, especially considering they are sized for such ones like the MicroMasters, I think they have been encouraging creativity as of late, and I must say, man, he just looks good from every angle. Then of course you swoop in with the rest of the boys that are guarding this pseudo city or base or whatever you want to call it. But definitely Cybertron Metroplex, it is ironic to see him fit in so well with a lot of the G1 crew. Now, if you are wondering, is that his actual alternate mode? Well, yes, because in the Cybertron TV show, he did show up looking like this, and this was his alt mode. His alt mode is based on a real-world excavator called the Bagger 288 Giant Excavator. You're probably wondering, how exactly big is this guy? There he is with scattershot, but one that you may be a little bit more familiar with is actually Galaxy Upgrade Optimus Prime. And as you can see, yeah, he is definitely fulfilling the Titan class requirements that you would want from just such a figure. With the Titan budget, they've been able to make a lot of tweaks, because one of the other things is that he never had these guns, which is actually on both sides of the figure. Now, the interesting thing about this side is because on the old figure, you had the Cyber Planet key that would slot in here and would unlock the head to actually expand out and do its special attack. And even though this thing doesn't use a Cyber Planet key like the old 2005 or 6 figure, you can see that they went in and actually molded the details of where the Cyber Planet key used to go. So that's like something that they didn't have to do, but yet they're shouting that out. Now, what's interesting about this is, just due to the design and everything, is the range of motion for this little excavator head thing here. If you look at it from this angle, that far, that far. Plus the arm is kind of limited in its motion if you're really wanting it to be practical, because even if you put it out here, it's going to be running into the legs down here. So it's more just for looks than it is actual function, which is interesting all on its own. Now, in the old days of the original figure, his worker mode, as they called it, was basically his robot mode, but just a lot shorter. And you can kind of see that the boys at the modern Hasbro have just radically kind of reinvented that mode as something else. Literally, you detach the axe and just extend his arms, whereas this one over here looks like he's literally fishing for Decepticons. And then this arm over here, this saw blade is getting ready to really mess someone up.
For the glory of the royalty! I can do that too!
One of the other things that I really appreciate about the sculpting is how his head in this mode actually looks. It is kind of a cool departure rather than just using the standard robot mode face. Oh yeah! Here is our boy rocking his full-on robot mode. This guy right here squared off with the most OP character in all of Cybertron the series, and that was Megatron. Okay, because Megatron came to his planet causing trouble, which, as you might imagine, Metroplex was not down for. However, Megatron, being the arrogant jerk that he is, thought that he could take down Metroplex, to which Metroplex appropriately grinded him under his heel. However, in kind, you can imagine that Megatron was not thrilled with this development, to which he said to Metroplex,
"Now you'll pay!"
And keep in mind, Megatron at this point was linked with Nemesis Breaker, making him even more insanely powerful. However, Metroplex, to the threat against his life, responded by saying,
"If you want to battle, I'm happy to oblige."
And despite Megatron's extremely powerful status, all it took was one swing from Metroplex's axe to not only critically injure Megatron to the point where he was dying, but it also destroyed Nemesis Breaker. But as you can see, here is his magnificent head sculpt. Plus, I love the details about this, and just everything about the design is really faithful, and the fact that they've been able to just update it just enough to not where it's a radical departure and everybody hates it, but the fact that it found just quite an elegant blend. That's one of the reasons that I'm extremely liking this version of Metroplex. Plus, as opposed to the Arc, this boy has some heft. You would think it would be easy to pose a guy like this with his giant weapon. However, guys, it's not as easy as it would appear to be, because the way that he grips this axe is very specific. He has to grip it back here and back here. So one interesting feature is that if you don't want to have him actually holding it in his hands, you can actually have it strapped to his back, and you don't have to disassemble it like you did for vehicle mode. You actually can see there's actually a port here and a port here, and then it just clips into his back, kind of like that right there. And then he can actually have it slung behind his back at an angle kind of like this, which I kind of personally think that that looks cool myself. So I think it is really cool, guys, that Cybertron is getting a little bit of love here and there. And actually it's quite a bit more than just a little bit, because, I mean, come on, we have a Titan based off one of the characters from that show. So that says a lot, to be honest. But as good as he looks with Optimus and Scattershot, I think there's one compare that we've all been waiting to see. Oh, yes. Guys, look at Devastator. He is in such a panic because there is somebody here that is making him look like quite the small fry. Looking at this, you know what this reminds me of?
Nothing defeats the Devastator. Nothing, little one. What would you say about me?
I don't know, guys, there's just something about this that is so amusing that I cannot help but like it. It's just seeing how much he dwarfs a figure that at one time we thought was just massive. And I mean, to be fair, he still is. However, he is not the biggest Titan anymore. So guys, I hope you enjoyed our look at Cybertron Metroplex. As you can see in the photo, our next video will actually be about one of my favorite Decepticons of all time, none other than the 2000 Universe Scourge, and oh my goodness, guys, I am so excited to bring you that. Anyway, guys, until the next time, we'll see you in another review.